1, 0, all engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. So this is the podcast where my co-host and I listen to all the Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts from the previous week and get together at our podcast host. This week we are at Higher Gravity Summit Park, and then we give our version of the truth of how those podcasts went. Now, hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other podcasts. So far, so good.
All good.
So far, so good. My name is Marco. I am a brewer and a bartender here locally. And that voice you heard, you need more of it. You need more of it, and you're going to get more. And I'm going to introduce that podcast co-host. She is the best podcast co-host in Podcastlandia.
I am Julia, and I am a drinker of all of the craft beer and craft margaritas and BLOX-aritas here in the Cincinnati area. I also tend to write some funny things about the beer event calendar that Higher Gravity puts out every year, and we're getting close. We are only a few months away, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. If you have any suggestions for songs you'd like me to parody this year, let us know. We are at Truth Beer Pod on all the social media platforms, and we're also at truthbeerpod@gmail.com.
And I know what everyone's thinking. They're thinking MILF Money by Fergie. I've already requested that one.
It is on the list.
Yeah.
So, Marco, this would not be a good craft beer podcast. Well, but we're not drinking craft beer.
We're not. We
right
did.
now. We did.
We did.
We did
So
in our
for
pre-production meeting.
In the pre-production meeting and in the 0.5, I had a. It's a dry hop lager from, I believe it is Bitbaga. I did have that.
And how was it?
It was very good.
Good.
It was very good.
Good.
Yeah.
And I had Third Eye's Festbier, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think it's been a little, I don't want to say polarizing for some people, but I definitely enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I think did I have it last week on the show?
I believe you did, yes.
I believe I did.
I believe
Yeah.
you did.
If it wasn't on the pod, I had it either way.
So at some point, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we are not drinking beer currently.
Nah.
While we're recording this. Marco, what is in your glass?
I have Teremana Reposado Tequila. I've got a salt rim on the glass here, over ice with a couple of lime wedges, and I am sipping on that. It is fantastic. Why did I get it? It's because Julia ordered her drink first.
I have another, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, another BLOX-arita with the spicy version, which they have dialed in their recipe. Producer Annie crushed it. It's a little more spicy, a little more jalapeno-y, and it's perfect.
Hell yeah.
It is so perfect.
Way to go.
One of the,
Producer Annie, excellent work.
This is the best BLOX-arita, spicy BLOX-arita that I have had so far in the 2 weeks that I have had spicy BLOX-aritas.
Still so very excited
Oh,
for
no kidding.
Higher Gravity Summit Park to have blocks.
Oh, no kidding. It's the best. There's so much you can do with blocks.
So much.
Absolutely.
So much. This is non-scripted, but I had a couple come in over the weekend when I was working here at Higher Gravity Summit Park, and they saw the sign that said blocks, and like, what is that? And so I grabbed 2 blocks, and I take them out, and I say, these are blocks, these are alcohol spiked ice, and then I go into a whole thing, and I tell them what they can do with them and how they can use them, and then the guy goes, hold on a second. And he pulls out his phone and he goes, can you do that over again? And I said, sure. And I went into it and I did the thing and I talked about the blocks and what you can do with the blocks, how you can use the blocks, and he said, all right, thanks. And I said, yeah, did you get it? And he's like, yeah, well, I run a chain of restaurants down south. And these things seem awesome.
Oh my God, that's amazing!
So, anyways, I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that?
That is so cool.
But, yeah.
Hopefully, big things. Blocks deserves even more big things than what they're already doing.
Yeah, and Blocks just hit me up. It's I was thinking like a 80-20 cut in my way. Just give me a proposal by COB tomorrow. So, anyways. But yeah, shout out to Block Spike Dice. Shout out to Higher Gravity Summit Park. If you're not
shout out
here,
to producer Annie.
Shout out to producer
making
Annie.
us the
If you're not
amazing
here,
drinks.
get over here. And thank you to everyone who is new to the pod. Thank you for finding us. Hope you find it enjoyable. And if you don't, keep listening because at some point, hopefully you will. And then go ahead and share the show with your friends. If you don't have any friends, and I understand how it is, if you don't have any friends, just try to make some by talking about what you do is go up to strangers and talk about our podcast.
Yes.
And then you end up making friends.
Absolutely.
So, and then to all of you who've been with us on this journey for a long time, I truly appreciate your listenership as well as any support that you have given us monetarily or otherwise. We will give you all the important information at the end of the pod on how you can support us in that way and communicate with us as well. For now, Julia.
Marco.
Did you listen to any craft beer podcast, Cincinnati-based, last week?
I listened to a few. How about you?
There were only a few, but I did listen.
All right, so let's see if we're on the same page with these. Did you happen to catch the Brews Traveler Outcast podcast where they went up to Triton Brewing Company in Indianapolis?
I did.
Excellent.
I listened to that while I was on the way to and from Common Beer Company in Mason last week.
Such a great place.
Really
and then we have a double recap of the only other podcast to give us something this past week and a half-ish, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, so we did get an early release of Drinking with the Gnome, which came out last Wednesday.
Yes,
But we reviewed that last week,
we did.
as all of you know, because you listened.
And there should be a new episode of that releasing tomorrow.
That's
so
right.
Wednesday, because these episodes release on Friday, so you'll have already had 2 days to listen to the newest Drinking with the Gnome. So if you haven't listened yet, why the hell not? Do it now. Put us on pause, listen to the episode, come back to us, and then come back to us again next week when we talk about that episode.
Sure, you can do that.
Experience it with us. But the other podcast that we have to cover is Shift Beers, and we get 2 episodes to recap because they published last week's episode late after our cutoff.
Yes.
So we have episodes 93 and 94 to cover. So
I like that.
It's going to be fun. I do too.
I like that.
I think it's going to be cool. So do you want to just jump in and start with the Brews Travelers Outcast podcast?
I think we should.
All right, so Season 2, Episode 5 of the Brews Travelers Outcast podcast. They went up to Triton Brewing Company in Indianapolis. It was the Cincy Brews Traveler, The Wolf, and they were joined by, was it Roby?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then they also had a member of the staff of Triton Brewing Company, Matt, show up a little later in the episode to kind of fit into
That's his last
what
name,
they
Matt
do.
Show Up.
Yes, Matt Show Up. The Wolf, so this was something that I thought was interesting. One of the first notes that I had, the Wolf thought that the brewery, when they pulled up, was one thing. The Brews Traveler thought it was something else. So I have a multiple choice quiz for all of our listeners. What do you think that the Wolf and Cincy Brews Traveler thought that this brewery, this location was when they first pulled up? A, an artillery testing facility, because the Wolf was talking about how it looked like a military base. B, a mule barn, because the Brews Traveler said, man, this looks like an old barn. Or C, an abandoned elementary school, because Roby talked about there was a lot of educational programs that happened at this location. Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Let us know if you picked the answer correctly after you listen to this episode.
Yeah. Hit us up.
Yes.
Listen all the way to the end to find out how you can get in contact with us to answer that question. Mm-hmm. First thing I thought of was it probably was a Little Mermaid themed brewery because King Triton was Ariel's father.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I thought it was more around those lines.
Gotcha. Apparently, Indianapolis breweries are not all pack and play friendly.
No, they're not.
There are specifically designated sections in the ones that do allow like under 21 visitors to play, and I can't decide if I like or dislike that idea.
I can definitely see where, I mean, from a parenting perspective, where there's more of a free range parenting sort of thing, where they're allowed to meander amongst the other juveniles, and then where there's sort of a caged in, where they are cage free, and then maybe there's a little bit of confinement for those
Cage free. So like, are they
youngsters.
organic or are they like free roaming?
Yeah, organic free roaming. Yeah, made without
Grass fed.
BPAs or whatever it is.
No DEET sprayed on these
No
children.
DEET on the children.
Or DDT, wasn't that it?
Well,
What was-
DDT is what you used to use to kill bed bugs, and DEET
what was
in
the
the
one that made? Because I remember from like grade school, they would always say that there was a chemical that was
Don't
sprayed.
snort
It was making the bald eagle's eggs, like eggshells, thin. Was that DDT? Was that shit? What was that?
Jesus.
Yeah, it was like a major thing that they're like, we need to get rid of this because it's
my God.
making like our nation's bird.
It's huevos malos.
Yeah.
That's
anyway,
terrible.
Anyway, but yes, so not all breweries allow free roaming children, organic or otherwise.
Yeah, they had to call ahead.
Yeah, they had to call ahead to make sure, like, hey, you know, our and Brews Traveler and the Wolf don't have like tiny little kids,
Right.
But it was still enough of a part of the Indianapolis craft beer scene that they needed to check before they just showed up with the entire family in tow, which could definitely affect.
Yeah, they're out
what
of the
you do when you're out
preteen
there.
stage. They're in full gusto teenagers,
Right,
and
right.
yeah, you just can't roll up on some of them like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, they tried. They did what they could. I think they were up there for one of their kids, like a sporting event, competition kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it all worked out. But that is definitely something to be aware of if you want to make a brewery hopping trip to Indianapolis.
No, and it's a good shout too, right? Because
Sure.
I use this analogy a lot of the times when I'm talking with friends, you know, and just trying to understand the differences in cities and trends and cultures and that kind of thing. I grew up in the New Orleans area, and so did my wife. I mean, we were pretty used to every gas station having foolproof liquor, you know, at it. You can just roll up to the gas station. And so when we would go out of town, whether, you know, once we came of age, we would go out of town, whether it's, you know, Texas or, you know, Alabama, Florida, that kind of thing. It's just you couldn't do that.
Right.
That's not the case. We also grew up with drive-through daiquiri shops where you could get, you know, shots of liquor in the drive-through window.
Right.
You know, just
well, I mean, kind of going back to the indie thing. I mean, here in Ohio, you can go into a, you know, gas station, bottle shop, brew, whatever, and buy cold beer 7 days a week.
Yep.
In Indiana, you still can't buy cold beer on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's not in a refrigerator because that way the assumption is, well, you can't just drink it right away if it's not cold. I mean, they don't know who we are.
Right.
But
it's like that would stop
somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, but I can see that the difference in drinking culture between the two states, even though it's, you know, depending on where you live here, maybe just a 20-minute drive and you're in Indiana.
Right.
It's definitely something to be aware of if you go out there. There's some amazing sounding breweries in the Indianapolis area. I wanted to go to Triton based off of the beers that they picked as their top 5 beers at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have like kids to worry about, but it is definitely something that is worth being aware of.
Well, you take Vincent anytime you want to go somewhere.
Okay.
Just pick Vincent
All
up.
right, hey, I'm
And-
sure they have soda.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
In December, it'll be 21. You can have a drink.
Oh my God, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That
but
is
you
so
deal with
crazy.
him. You start drinking, you deal with them.
Let's see. After they talked about a bit of the brewery scene in Indianapolis, a bit about what Triton Brewing Company or that land, that building used to be, Matt from Triton Brewing came on to the episode for part of what they do, the rapid fires,
Yeah,
where
the
they
rapid
ask a
fires.
whole bunch of questions about number of parking spaces, do you have event space, do you offer food, how many beers do you have on tap, all that kind of stuff.
He was a really good sport because he was, I don't want to say blindsided. They asked him, and he agreed, but it was very quick. Hey, I'm your server, and
they're like, hey,
said,
do you want to be on the pod? Right.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But I will say, even with that being kind of thrown at him, you could hear the passion for Triton Brewing.
That's the
in
thing that
everything
stood
that
out
he said.
to me was the passion. He had most of the answers. Some of the answers were a little vague, or you know, he just maybe could answer the best of his ability, which is what anybody would want to do, right? But the passion was there. I mean,
Right,
without
absolutely.
a doubt.
And I feel like he was almost on the Jeff from Lagunitas level of passion.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, listen to Shift Beers, look up the episodes about Jeff, and for even more information about Jeff from Lagunitas, sign up for the Shift Beers Patreon page.
Yeah.
Because I'm only sharing my Patreon login with one person.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say who that is.
You don't have to.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. I mean,
No, it was a really, really cool episode. I'm really glad. I like when they go out of town for their shows because it just exposes me to a lot of other breweries that I might not know. Like Almatic was one of the first episodes I think that we recapped.
Yeah.
I was not aware that that existed. I probably would have figured it out eventually. But I love having kind of a go-to podcast to where I can either find out more about the Cincinnati breweries that I already know about and love, or I find out about something that's just within like a 2-hour drive
super
that I really want to check out.
Yeah, the format is a good format for the pod. The way they do their segments in the format, it's very good, very informative. They still have a good time, and that comes across in the pod. And yeah, I'm glad to have another episode of Brews Travelers Outcast Podcast.
Yeah, before we wrap this up, I just want to say, sorry, I got a little bit of the extra spice in my margarita on that drink. Mad props to the Wolf, the Brews Traveler, and Roby. They didn't use a real name once.
Good job.
There was not a single
Good
slip of the
job.
tongue. You guys crushed it, but that means we don't get to drink to your mistakes. Just like there was not an episode of, I'm going to do it, the Cincinnati Brewcast.
There we go.
Which, really impacts our drinking ability during this show.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to work through it, though, Julia.
We'll find a way.
Yeah.
We will find a way. Was there anything else you had on this episode of the Brews Travelers Outcast Podcast about Triton Brewing Company in the wonderful city of Indianapolis before we move on to the shiftiest of beers?
No, I that's it for me. I do want to follow our program of not giving everything away, just giving you a few highlights and asking you to go listen to the pod.
Yeah.
I truly enjoy them, and I'm going to leave it at that and let you, as the listener, go find out the rest.
And to kind of tie into that, we do hope that we give you enough tidbits of information, of little non-truths about the podcast that make you want to go out and listen, because that is what we are here for. All right, let's truth. All right, we are going to take a super quick break, and then we are going to get on to the Shift Beers podcast.
And then she said, "I mean, is that all you have?" And I just all I had to say was yes. I mean, I don't know.
Well, that was, one that was an unfair assumption on her part, but at the same time, it wasn't entirely inaccurate. I don't know. It was just it was an awkward situation either way.
Yeah, it was a bit strange, but
that's fine.
Anyway.
Hey, guess what? We're back.
Hey,
we're
back.
And we are both still sipping our tequilas and BLOX-aritas, because that's what you do on Margarita and Tequila Tuesdays at Higher Gravity Summit Park.
Yeah, we're just sipping.
I cannot get over how, like, the last week's spicy BLOX-arita was amazing. Mm-hmm. But I know that producer Annie said that they have been working on kind of honing in the spicy recipe. Mm-hmm. This is even better than it was last week. I am over the moon with it.
I'm excited because I mean, having, a stockpile of blocks.
Oh my God,
that's what I do.
Yes.
What I have. I can make a frozen margarita for my wife. I mean, at any point that she'd like. It's
don't have to get the blender. Don't have to do whatever. You can just make it. Man, so cool. So cool.
So convenient. Yeah, really good.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into the first of 2 episodes of Shift Beers that we have to talk about. All right, so we have episode 93 and 94 of Shift Beers to talk about. So we're just going to start with 93.
Sounds good.
And then move it along. There was a guy on a bicycle that just rode by that had like a very official looking FC Cincinnati backpack, and I'm just kind of curious if he's on one of the multitude of FC teams, because
there are players.
Exactly.
No,
right.
there are players and coaches that live in this building, and we hope at some point to have a special treat for our listeners.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Nothing set in
stone.
Don't take this as a guarantee, but
Yeah.
Pretty cool things.
Yep.
Anyway, so episode 93 of Shift Beers, Seasonal Creep, which is, I feel like it is always the topic of discussion this time of year. And
It is.
like still summer, but close enough to where summer bleeds into fall. And I think it's a valid argument. It actually was both this episode and they touched on it in episode 94 as well. So there'll be a lot of seasonal creep speak in our total Shift Beers recap.
I understand them bringing it up as a topic. What I want to say is that from a person who doesn't take in their sports news conventionally from the largest sports network, I am so over some of the generic starved for content format type conversations, like who's the GOAT, which, by the way, I hate that term.
Yeah.
MJ or LeBron, or how do we fix
so
baseball, or just any of these pencil whip topics. I feel like this time of year, everybody wants to
Seasonal creep is that,
talk about seasonal creep.
It's the easy topic to discuss, and
I get
it's done to death, but I understand it. I understand the need for people to have the conversation year in and year out, and no one's wrong, no one's right. It is all, I mean, literally.
I think people can prove that there is some correct and incorrect. However,
Sure.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, even though some of them are wrong. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I think part of it stems from a difference from a just fundamental standpoint, where beers are going to hit shelves at a certain time.
Sure.
Do you want them or not at that moment is a totally separate conversation,
Right.
and that in itself is not the definition of seasonal creep.
Sure, but then you also have the other side. If you look at it from a business perspective, to where when you're trying to get, if you're a brewery, if you're a drink, producer, if you're not the first on the shelf, you're last on the shelf. And by
Ricky
the
Bobby.
time people get to your stuff, when you put it out, if you are last to get it on the shelf, are people already tired of that style? So it's,
Yeah.
I feel like,
I think we win.
But
As,
they're
I think
very-
we win as drinkers because
Hell yeah.
at least in this season, for what
have
we're
so
going to
many
call
options right
Oktoberfest
now.
season, and then which leads into pumpkin season. I think that what we're producing here locally is overwhelmingly fantastic.
absolutely it is. Yeah.
Almost, you could say, pick one, and if you're in the mood for that season, you're gonna like it. You can have your own ranking.
Yeah.
Whether you like one Festbier or one Oktoberfest or one pumpkin beer over the other. That's for you to decide. And that's your truth, your decision.
But I also feel like the beers that are released this time of year, and I'll just say both Oktoberfest and pumpkin beers, because those are typically the quintessential seasonal creep beer styles. And I'll throw pumpkin beers as its own style,
Sure.
regardless of what you're doing with it.
Yeah.
They're both beer styles. And again, don't at me about pumpkin beer isn't a style, because you could have a pumpkin stout and pumpkin ale, blah, whatever. You guys know exactly what I mean. They're all beers that you can buy when they come out at the end of July. Keep in your fridge for a month or two, and they're still going to be fine when you are ready to open them up. Some
Yeah.
of them might start to fall off a little bit, but as long as they are made correctly and canned correctly, they should still be good under proper storage conditions, yada,
Exactly.
yada,
Yeah,
yada.
if you keep them in cellar conditions or under refrigeration, they're going to be absolutely fine in a month when you actually
right,
want
when
to
you're
drink.
ready for it. Yeah. So do with that as you will. This episode specifically of Shift Beers, to dig into that, very beginning of episode 93, things got a little spicy between Shift Beers and some of their comments towards the Gnome on seasonal creep. Mm-hmm. And it's,
You mean the fact that they said "fuck you"?
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I know that, like when I see Button Brian, that is a term of endearment. Like the first thing when we see each other,
yes.
it's like an immediate middle finger. Fuck you, Julia. Fuck you, Brian. But we know it's all good.
Yeah.
This didn't feel like that same type of fuck you. It could have been, but it
I
felt a
think
little
that was-
spicier. It felt a little more aggressive is not the right word at all, but it felt a little more poking and prodding at the gnomes' ideas about seasonal creep versus their idea. You know, poking.
I got poked by the gnome.
I know you got poked by the gnome. I was there when we figured out you could still poke on Facebook. We had no idea.
I don't know what it's for.
I don't either. It's for if you want to be creepy.
Sent me a poke. I'm like, what is this? And then for 10 minutes, I'm Googling, like, what does a poke mean?
Well, then what was hilarious about that was when you responded back, like, hey, what's up? Or whatever you responded back with, he was like, why is he saying this to me? Oh, shit, because I poked him like 15 minutes ago. It was the mood. We had beers at that point. So memories were getting fuzzy. Anyway, shift beers. Let's go ahead and get through this because we have bonus stuff that we need to do.
Yeah, we need it. Let's rip through it.
There was no Beth, which made me sad.
Yeah, it is.
In either episode.
True.
But, you know, Beth has stuff she's doing, and good on her for doing them.
Is that what it is?
Sure. It's my truth.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Josh, this is to you. If I see you somewhere, if I run into you somewhere that has...
Hold on. You have a message for Josh?
I have a message for Josh.
All right, hold on. Let's redo this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hold on.
Let's go.
Hello. This is Morgan Freeman. You are about to hear a message to Josh from Julia.
Dear Joshua Engel, if I happen to run into you at a place that serves Blanton's, I have not had it either. But if you and I are in the same location and Blanton's is available, I will buy us a belt to share. I'm not going to spend $40 for each of us to have one, but I will split one with you. And that way we can both experience all the goodness that Blanton's is rumored to be.
That was Julia's message to Josh.
Another thing about Josh, sort of to Josh, short of about Josh. He's not short. Sort of about Josh. They went to Incline Public House, and he made no mention that they went to Boldface Dairy Barn for ice cream afterwards. That is a sin of the West Side.
What the F?
What the F, Josh? You need to remedy that and let me know, and I'll meet you up there for ice cream because Boldface is absolutely amazing.
Speaking of amazing, good God, that tequila was straight fire. Oh, my God. So delicious.
Just wait until you get one of the spicy margaritas.
Okay.
Holy hell. BLOX-aritas.
Okay.
I stand corrected on that.
Might be back another Tuesday. I might try that.
You might be back another Tuesday.
We haven't left yet. Still might try it.
It's still a possibility for tonight. Apparently, asking bartenders to spaghetti things confuses the bartenders. Like, are you...
Ready for a true story from Higher Gravity Summit Park?
Swallow your lime first. And there we go. Yes, but I'm ready.
Doing a little too much smacking?
There wasn't the smacking, but you could tell that you were like...
I was preoccupied.
Still, yes.
You hit me in a moment. Okay. So, all right, we're going to do true story from Higher Gravity Summit Park.
I love it.
All right, hold on. This is a true story from Higher Gravity Summit Park. Told by Marco. I thank you, Morgan. So, I was here at Higher Gravity Summit Park. I believe, was I by myself or was I with my son, Vincent? For the sake of the story, hold on a second. Was I with him? Was I not? I'm not sure.
You were alone. You were at the bar alone.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I was at the bar alone by myself.
This is going to be kind of like a choose your own adventure thing. I'm going to fill in the blanks.
Oh, like that Bear Grylls show where you got to choose your own adventure, and he's like,
I was talking the book series. But, you know, you do you.
Strangle the snake, and no, but anyway, so
yes.
I was at the bar. Todd, good buddy Todd, was bartending that day. Guy walks up, orders a beer, and then orders another beer, and that other beer was a High Life. Todd, being the professional bartender that we all are here at Higher Gravity Summit Park, Todd grabs a High Life, cracks it open, starts pouring it in a glass. The guy says, my wife only drinks it out of cans. And he looks and he goes, I can't pour it back in the can. And the guy says, is there any way you could give me a
new can?
And he's like,
really?
Yeah, I can. And so I can.
Sorry.
How about that? Hey. And so he does, and there's a guy sitting next to me at the bar that I'm not really familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you weren't bartending.
I was
you
a
were just a
patron.
patron. Okay.
was
Just
a
wanted to
patron.
make sure that the scene was properly.
Yeah, I was a
set.
patron.
Okay.
Should have vetted that out, but that's what
good.
we're not professional.
Good.
And so I
That's
was
why
sitting there
I'm
as a
here.
patron, and so the guy walks away, and Todd looks at me like, I can't believe what just happened. And I said, hold on, Todd. We're going to spaghetti. And he looks at me like, what?
The fuck are you talking
And the
about?
guy sitting next to me is like, what? And I was like, no, it's totally a thing. He's like, I've never heard of spaghetti. And I was like, oh, it's a look. And I just took my phone out and I went to spaghetti, a beer, and then boop, boop. And I showed him. It's like High Life, Campari, boom,
Bam.
spaghetti. And
Emerald that boom for us. Or that bam, whatever. Yeah.
bam.
There we go. Man, you're so good.
Yeah, from Louisiana. He's not, but
nah,
anyway.
you know.
He's from Maine, who wound up
He's a transplant.
working at, anyways.
Yes. So you
So,
introduced
and
spaghetti.
Todd's like, oh, this is a real thing? And the guy sitting there is like, this is a real thing. I'm like, I didn't make this up. We're going to spaghetti that High Life and then put it on my tab.
You
And
can't
then
waste it, yeah.
And then I sent you a picture
Yes.
of Todd with the Campari and the High Life, and we split the High Life 3 ways, and we did the... You okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I'm going to do something
you need a little
stupid. So
something?
I'm
no,
going to...
don't. She's got a spicy margarita, and I think I see your fingers are
Yes.
wet. Don't do it, Julia.
You sound like my Josh. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. So anyway, we split this High Life through. Just don't touch your eyes or your nose. And so we split this High Life 3 ways, and we did the Campari. He did a measured Campari, dumped it in it, and we had it. And Todd was like, "Whoa, that is a way better." And I was like,
Yeah.
I for agreeance sake, I just went, yeah, how about that? Got to tell you, didn't love it.
Yeah.
Didn't love it.
But you introduced it to other people. You were spreading the spaghetti love.
Yes,
and that's
I was
all that
spreading
really
the spaghetti.
matters. Yes.
Yeah, it's like,
There you go.
yeah, skeeted like
And now,
that spaghetti. And I'm happy to be,
a disciple of the spaghetti.
Yes.
Spreading the word.
Yes.
To all that will listen.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Now,
Or is the disciple the one that takes in the learning, and is the apostle the one that spreads the learning?
ooh, that's an excellent question.
Julie, you went to Catholic school.
Yeah, but I tried to block all that out.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I did too as well.
Yes. We'll just say that both did both. Because
Yeah.
really, I mean,
Yeah. I'm happy to
why
spread.
is one not
When
going
is your
to
shirt
spread-
showing up?
When's my shirt showing up? Oh, the spaghetti shirt.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like the.
Oh, that's in episode 2.
That's yes.
Yeah.
That's in
Okay. Oh,
episode
I'm
2.
sorry. I'm fast forwarding. I'm doing the
It's all shift beering, so it's all blending
shift
together.
beering. Okay.
So,
I spreaded the spaghetti.
that is awesome. Everyone is so proud of you for spreading the spaghetti.
Well, thank you.
That's awesome. That's
Thank you.
really cool. I have to admit, when we were sitting at the bar talking to producer Annie before we came over here to record, I just kept like looking at the bottle of Campari that was just sitting right
Like
there
you're like,
going,
am I going to spaghetti?
man, what am I going to... I'm not spaghetting my margarita because it is...
Hail to the
It
nah.
is perfection. I'm not fucking it up
And
in any way,
this,
shape, or form.
this tequila was hella good.
Nice.
Hella good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, let's hurry up and get through these 2 episodes so that we can get more amazingness
Yeah,
from
let's
Higher
do
Gravity
it.
Summit Park.
What other notes do you have before we get into the burp count?
The burp count. One of the notes that I had is they exposed someone's drunk name during this episode. Fritzl, which is a blend of Fritz and Hansel, like Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, I know them.
They blended that together to make Fritzl. The name fits the person so incredibly well, but I never would have guessed that on my own. So I
Yeah.
am very glad that they exposed this one.
Yeah.
You definitely should check out this episode to find out who Fritzl is.
And we love exposure. So
We really do.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and plus, if you see this person out and about,
exposing themselves.
I'm not touching that one. It's
Okay.
just, it's too easy, low hanging fruit.
Okay.
But Fritzl was exposed, which was,
Promo code GNOME. Manscaped.com.
hey, if he's not going to promote it for himself, we're going to promote it for him.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, what you
Marky,
got?
you still need to order something from Manscaped, don't you?
I will.
I've used the code.
I'm gonna do it.
All right.
gonna do
Excellent.
it.
Excellent.
I'll have you help me. You're the IT person.
Oh, God.
Order.
there's-
I'll have you help me order.
Thank you for the clarification.
For anybody who was like,
It was
wait a minute,
wait a
hold on
minute.
second.
No. Absolutely not.
Not using the product. Jesus.
Let's see. This episode of episode 93, they drank Oktoberfest and pumpkin beers, which I'm sure you guessed by the title of the show, Seasonal Creep, and by our little diatribe in the beginning of our recap that had
Yeah.
nothing to do with the episode itself. Marco, this is something that they asked about or that they brought up in their conversation.
Yeah.
Thunder snow.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Thunder snow.
All I'm going to ask, that single question, thunder snow, yes or no?
Yes.
No context. Okay. All right, good. I am a yes as well. We win. Brian, fuck you.
Yeah.
And
Fuck off with all the fuck offs.
this was something really cool that they actually brought up. And I'm trying to read my notes to make sure that I get this right. And I think we'll kind of close off. Well, no, let me do my final note because the hanging question that this note leads into is better.
Pittsburgh sucks.
Josh, once again, I need to correct you. The Ned Flanders metal band is not Hadley Doodly. It is Oakley Dokley. You were all correct. I was yelling.
You fool!
I was yelling at my computer going, that is not right. Why don't you know this? And
You so stupid.
I'm telling you. But hey, now they know. And
Yeah.
knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Or that. The last thing before we get to the burp count for episode 93 that I want to say is seasonal creep in the same mindset, that same vein as changing a style name to appeal to the masses, such as a wit beer versus a wheat ale, or something excellent that...
Speaking of vain, promo code GNOME at manscaped.com.
Oh my God.
What do you got? What do you got there?
20% off your entire order. Like things like saying a cold IPA versus an IPL.
Okay.
Does changing the style name, like that's kind of a fairly recent, well, I don't say a recent trend. It's been happening for a while, but it's
Yeah.
much more prevalent now than it was.
Yeah.
Is the discussion or the mindset on changing a style name for the sellability of a product kind of the same mindset, the same vein as seasonal creep? Is it a thing? Is it not a thing? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think I think it's a thing, and I think it's okay, especially with trying to land a style that's not been defined by time. Right.
True.
You know,
True.
I think it's okay to vet these things out. I mean, as everything moves at a breakneck speed, as everything, hits you in all sort of ways, you get hit with all sort of stimuli all the time. And, many times you just, a rebranding or a refresh of a name is what it takes for something to catch on.
Well, I want to take it even a slight step farther than that. Even something for a business where their business is to sell, and we'll use beer in this instance because, hell, that's what we're all about. If you have something that is listed as a Christmas spiced ale, after Christmas, after like say January 1st, that's probably not going to sell because that word Christmas is in there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
If you drop that and just call it a spiced ale, it starts selling again. So is even just like kind of that tiny little
Well, I think that-
omission of a single word or just changing of the phrasing.
Yeah, I think that's true for a couple of styles. I don't think that's
It
true.
doesn't hit for everything.
Yeah,
right,
it doesn't.
right.
It doesn't work for everything, right? I mean, you're not gonna
You
say
can't have the milk from Milk Stout
You're
and
not
all
gonna
of a
say
sudden.
autumn Bach or
Sure.
a summer Bach. That's not gonna work. I mean, you got to drop the Bach, right? And you gotta
But do you?
Yeah. I mean, you got
I guess call it like like some type of lager.
unless it's Shiner,
But, yeah, that's
and then
true.
it's just
That's
a
true.
Shiner Bock all year round. And I think they even is it that episode of Ship Beers they mentioned Bock, or is it the next one?
It's the
they
next
all run together.
It's the, right.
Jesus.
It's the next
Oh.
one. It's the next one.
Good
but
Lord.
again, Bach is another seasonal
Jesus
whatever.
Christ.
But we will. All right. So that wraps up episode 93, except for
The burp count. And
Hell
they tell
yeah.
you about the burp count. They tell you what we do about the burp
Yes.
count. And you're about to hear.
And they've told us not to tell you about the burp count because you need to listen to them to find out what these numbers actually mean.
Yeah, so we're
for
gonna.
the most part.
We're about to go in it.
Let's do it.
Get up in it, Julia.
Episode 93 of Shift Beers, Seasonal Creep. It was just I'm sorry. It was Brian, Josh, and Chris.
Wishful thinking.
I know. I was hoping so hard that I could like manifest her into this episode somehow.
Yeah.
57 burps,
Okay.
which is a total of 114 ounces, which translates to 7.125 pints of your favorite alcoholic.
All right, here we go.
So that's going to wreck you. You're going to be feeling
That's yeah.
amazing
Yeah.
or terrible by the time
Yeah.
you're done.
Good job.
Do you need... You're done with your tequila. Are you okay to run through Shift Beers episode 94?
I am,
Or
except
do you
I
wanna
don't have a drink.
But that's what I was saying. Do you want to take a break so you can get something? Or
Yeah.
are you okay just kind of letting the tequila do its thing and then we get something else? Because
Well-
we have more to drink during our bonus.
Well, I know,
So-
but the thing is, once we're done with this,
That's
we
true.
cheers.
You need something in your glass.
And then we. So even if I have something in my glass and I don't drink it,
That's true.
I still need something at the end for a cheers. So
well, let's
I think
take a quick break.
I think we're gonna
You
pause.
get something, and then we will be right back to wrap up this episode with episode 94 of Shift Beers.
Yeah.
We made it back. We did not get lost on the way from our table to the bar, which our table today, we're sitting at one of the high tops. We have a gorgeous view of the outside. Well, I have a gorgeous view of the outside. Marco has a gorgeous view of all the packaged beer in the cooler and the wine selection that is
Yeah.
so freaking ridiculous. So many wines.
Because I'm a
It's
weirdo
just-
and have to have my back to a wall, but that's
Hey,
not the only reason
I
I'm weird.
I get you.
It's not the only reason I'm weird. But
It's
yeah,
cool.
I'm looking at the fantastic wine bottle selection or wine selection because there's some box wine down there, which,
That's
by the way,
true.
don't let me forget. Need to pick up some of that.
Okay.
And then I've got all the singles that I'm looking at, and they're ready to mingle.
While you were getting your beer, because I'm still working on my spicy margarita, we took a trip back into the beer cooler, and we already picked out the things that I'm going to be bringing home.
Yep.
Yeah, we're ready.
I grabbed the Third Eye Festbier. Had to get it. Been topic
That's-
of conversation.
It has been.
I had it last week. You had one.
I finally had one this week during our pre-production meeting.
Yeah, and there've been differing opinions. I have a very strong opinion that it is delicious.
I thought it was incredibly tasty.
No,
as
yeah,
well. Yeah. There you go.
Confirmed. Yeah, delicious.
Excellent. Well, while you enjoy some of your fest beer,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to start talking about Shift Beers, episode 94, the BC Send-Off and Spaghetts episode.
Right. That's the
They
one where
combine
they just.
all the things.
That's the one where
They were there when we were there.
Josh and Brian just shot us the bird for like half an hour.
Yes, while they were recording. Yeah. We
What
love
did you call them?
guys. Hand unicorns.
Hand unicorns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm not flipping you off. I'm just making a hand unicorn for you.
Like, oh,
Look at this. Look how
that.
mythical it is.
Yes.
Ben from BC's joined them for the first half. Well, a little more than half of this episode. It was a shorter episode.
Right.
But they covered some really in-depth topics.
They did.
With especially Ben at BC's for kind of their final show there, just like ours. They were recording while we were recording. You look like you were going to say something. That's why I paused.
I'm slightly jealous, actually,
Yeah.
because we've been talking to Ben at BC's Montgomery. We've been talking to him for
It's true.
months
It's true.
about the possibility of him jumping on the pod and talking about what's really in his lane.
Yeah.
Which is German studies
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
his travels and experiences.
Yeah.
And because a member of Shift Beers said they were going to be there and didn't show up, and I'm not I'm not throwing shade or talking trash
no.
to
It's just-
anybody
it's
that
just
may
the
or may
facts of
not
the
be
situation.
a future supervisor. I'm not doing that. He wound up joining the pod because he's a good sport
Sure.
and talking about some of the stuff that I wanted
That
him
you
to talk
wanna-
about on our damn podcast.
Do you think that he confused the podcast? I was like, oh,
No,
wait, is this...
'cause we
no.
were right-
We were right there.
We were right there.
We were literally like a literal stone's throw away.
Yeah.
Like as
Yeah.
terrible of a like thrower, whatever, I don't know, as I am,
Yeah.
I could have hit them from where we were sitting.
Probably should have.
I probably should have. In retrospect, complete missed opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, they sat at BC's with Ben for the first part of this episode. The first part was Josh and Brian with Ben at BC's, and the second part was Josh and Chris at a local bar doing all of the spaghetts.
All the spaghetts.
Yes, they actually ran the bar out of Campari.
Yeah.
They were spaghetting so much.
Well, they fuck around and found out.
They
That's
they absolutely did.
And they warned him. It's like, hey, we're going to be around here often. Might want to,
Might wanna keep
might
this
want to
up,
get a little
yeah.
more
Yeah.
Campari.
So they were actually talking about being worried about Brian and Chris and their kind of health situations. Brian with the demon noises that we have mentioned multiple times, like that we want to make
Yeah.
sure that Brian's okay. So they brought that up as well. But they were worried about Chris because Chris apparently betrays his ICP family. And instead of drinking Faygo, he drinks Diet Pepsi.
I heard that.
I don't know how the family's going to
Is it
ingest that.
is it like a low grade version of Scientology, where like you
Kind
you
of.
like that kind
Kind
of
of, yeah,
like
it's-
it's not to that degree where people are like chasing you,
Right,
or
it's not-
following you.
It's not so much like that strong of a cult-y kind of thing, but it is definitely a commitment to a group of people that Chris made that by drinking Diet Pepsi, he is not living up to. He's got to
okay.
do the whoop whoop and drink the Faygo.
Okay.
And that's kind of all there is to it.
Okay.
They did expose a new, you know how Bustin Bustin was like the
And we love
way
exposure.
to rate. We really... Manscaped, use code GNOME. Manscaped.com, 20% off your order. GNOME, you're welcome. We'll do your promotions for you.
Yep.
Hey, Manscaped, if you want to sponsor us,
We're down.
we're down.
Oh yeah. We're down with the get down. I mean, come on now.
But yeah, normally Bustin Bustin was kind of their ranking system for how good something is. This was a new one that I don't say producer Ben because he wasn't on our show. So Ben,
Yeah.
you're just Ben.
Ben.
You
Number
are
2.
only Ben.
The deuce.
Bustin makes Ben feel good.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't it make everyone?
Bustin' makes me feel good.
So the excellent things that they were drinking were Bustin Bustin. And it was amazing to hear. It was
I said bustin' at work this week.
what was the response to that?
Bustin', no cab. Shoo. I did that at work.
And they're like,
I had like 2 people just fell
Dude.
out. So
They're
I won't
like,
say what they
"Dude."
said after that because it'll give something away later. We'll talk about next week. But anyways,
oh my
this
god.
this old man, dug into the
Throwing out the
dug into
buses.
the youth chest there for a moment.
Dude.
Well, for me, I thought it was funny, and that's what it is. Once you get to a certain point and you have children, a certain part of you wants to live to embarrass your children.
Oh, hell yeah.
And even though my children weren't at my workplace, which they have been from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I still felt their embarrassment, which was wonderful.
I love that so much. Yeah, so next time you're drinking something that is exceptionally good, it's Bustin.
Bustin'.
They had a really good discussion about seasonal creep. Is it a thing? Is it not a thing? What are their opinions? We're not
God,
going to
doing
talk
this
about that
again?
anymore. No. I'm just going to say,
No, I just meant as a
just
comment.
to let you know. Right, yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing that
They
again.
did more of it. We're not doing any more of it. They talked about naming Hefeweizens and didn't say anything about, like, Heffenberg. as one of the potential names when they were throwing out different.
Sure, Heffenberg.
Yeah, because they were throwing out like Breaking Bad, Breaking Hef, Breaking whatever,
Yeah. Missed opportunity there.
It really, really was. Next time, consult Marco and I when you're trying to name your
That's right.
beers. We've got you. Ben was talking about, as you said, his love of like German culture, the fact that he lived over there for several years, all that different thing, which I have another multiple choice question.
Here we
based
go.
on something that he said about his time in Munich.
It's a game show. This is Gilbert Gottfried. Julia is going to give you a multiple choice question. Just imagine you were walking on a beach and you found a magic lamp and you rubbed the lamp and the genie said, you have to pick between these multiple choice. And now, Julia.
All right, so producer Jason, I'm throwing this one to you. You should know the answer to this because you know a lot about beer history, kind of European beer history. So, how many seasons does Munich have? Is it 3 seasons, 4 seasons, 5 seasons, or 7 seasons? All right, that wraps up the part 1 of episode 94.
There's more of this?
There's a little bit more. The last like 15 minutes
You
was.
could stop now and save yourselves.
I could, but there's only a couple comments that I had on part 2 of episode 94 of Shipped Beers. They ranked the different spaghetts that they have had, which was odd because Chris's favorite was a spaghetted malort, which
Yeah.
I didn't think you could make malort like good, no matter what you did to
Well, I
it.
don't think it did.
Well, that's true.
There's no way.
You're right. They did just say their favorite, not necessarily the best, like tasting out of all the spaghetts.
Yeah, I don't
But a
think it
spaghetti
did.
malort, whatever, it is what it is. Was there a dryer running in the background for the beginning of that episode? If
Yeah.
you know the throwback of that joke to their comments about us,
Yeah.
If you don't, listen back to a couple of our older shows. T-shirts are coming for Shift Beers.
Yeah, for the
We touched on
Patreons.
that. Yes. Well, they're going to offer them to everyone. But
the Patreons
the
get
patrons
'em.
are going to get them first and get them for free because
I'm
of
looking
their
forward
monetary.
to you getting your shirt.
I'm looking forward to me getting my shirt.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm especially excited because the design on the back of the shirt was something that until recently I would not have really had actual exposure to. Use code GNOME at manscaped.com.
There you
Speaking
go.
of exposure.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out eventually. Like once they place the order and do stuff, Shift Beer shirts will be available for purchase for anyone. They go over pricing, what it looks like, all that different stuff in the end of this episode. And then they said, Julia, we're sure that you're looking this up and screaming at us. So I'm going to let you know the different shots that you can make with Di Serono and McGillicuddy.
Di Serono.
Di Serono. I'm going to start with McGillicuddy. Because that was like the overly simple one.
Oh,
when
Dr.
they-
McGillicuddy.
And they had talked about both of them, so I'm not sure which one they weren't sure how to make.
So Dr. McGillicuddy.
So you can make a black and white with McGillicuddy's and Kahlua. Or any
Ebony
number of
and
like cheesecake-inspired
ivory.
shots with McGillicuddy. So
Hold
McGillicuddy's
on, wait a
kinda
minute.
easy.
What did you say? Cheesecake inspired?
Yes. Got a problem with that?
I'm out.
You're out. Well, yeah. I mean, I
I'm out.
get it. but
Cheesecake. I'm out.
The shots that you can make with Di Serono,
Di Serono.
the top one that I can't believe they didn't remember the name of is the blowjob. And after that, you have the T57 the 57 T-Bird and the jellyfish.
Is there a dragons in there anywhere? A
No,
dragon
there were
shot?
goblins.
Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
A goblin shot.
All right, let's wrap up this episode of Truth, Beer, and Consequences by letting people know about the burp count for episode 94 of Shift Beers,
Let's go.
which was not great, but the conversations that they had, they really weren't drinking a ton while they were talking to Ben.
It was and they were two shorter posted segments.
Correct. So
I think that they both had stories before and after each
Right.
recorded segment, but yeah, we don't
Right.
count that because
No.
it's not posted.
it's not posted. So for this episode of Shift Beers, in part 1, where they were talking with Ben of BC's, They had 15 burps, which is 30 ounces of your favorite beverage, which is 1.875 pints of whatever you're drinking.
Okay, fair enough.
In part 2, where it
The
was
Deuce.
just Josh and Chris, the Deuce, they had a single burp that I picked up, which brings the grand total for this entire episode to 16 burps. This was easy math. I didn't even need a calculator for this one.
Oh, yeah? Did
30?
you use your fingers?
Yes. No,
Toes?
Yes, both.
Fingers and toes?
Yeah, it was kind of awkward taking my shoes off at work. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Some
Look, people are into
Sure,
whatever
whatever.
they're into.
It's
I mean,
fine.
you just gotta, it's fine.
So for episode 94 of Shift Beers, a total of 16 burps, which is 32 ounces, which is exactly 2 pints
Okay.
of your favorite
Very
beverage.
good.
So
Very,
it's fine.
very doable.
It's fine. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that and be fine.
That's almost as much as I drink while we record here. Totally.
Good job on you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and good episodes.
It was fun. They were both a lot of fun. You should
Yeah.
definitely check them out. Support them on Patreon, patreon.com/shiftbeers. Even though he didn't have an episode this week, support the gnarly gnome, manscaped.com but promo code gnome.
Promo code Gnome.
Yeah.
Get out there and,
Get fresh and
fresh and so clean.
do some gardening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marco, did you have anything else before we wrap up the main part of our episode and then take a break and then get into our bonus episode?
No, I mean, there's so much more to get into, but I think we're going to do that in the bonus. Again, thank you to everyone who's new to the pod. Thank you to everyone that's been with us for quite a while. Julia, tell everyone what they need to do, how they can do it, and, the important things to help us grow and improve and, get closer to video content and closer to, helping
Actual merch.
Yeah, merchandise and helping you pay for home improvements and helping me put a down payment on my house. I mean, give the people the
How
info.
to stock the beer fridge. If you would like to support us.
Did you get that beer fridge yet?
That's a whole different story.
All right, we'll catch that in the point 5, Julia. Tell everyone how to support us.
You can support Truth, Beer, and Consequences in a number of ways. The biggest and best way is by liking, reviewing on any of your podcast apps that have a review section. Well, I don't know, a method to give us 5 stars, say a couple nice words about us. Share, subscribe, review, like, tell your friends, family, dogs, pets, everything like that. Follow us on social media. We are at Truth Beer Pod everywhere. You can email us anything you'd like to email us. truthbeerpod@gmail.com. If you have any complaints about the show, please send them to @RagingHop on Twitter, and we're hoping he gives us a compiled list of those complaints soon. If you would like to send a couple bucks our way so that we can buy more beers, more blocks, more BLOX-aritas, more tequila, all of that amazing stuff, you can do so at truthbeerpod.com.
I'd
All of
imagine
our
they could
episodes-
also buy gift cards at Higher Gravity
and leave them in
and
the
leave
Truth Beer
them
Pod
for
name.
Truth Beer Pod. Just let
That
the
would be awesome.
bartender or whoever's buying the bar know to leave them for us.
That
And
would
we
be
will,
amazing if you would do that. Leave your name if you do that so we can shout you out.
Correct. We always want to do that.
Absolutely. We want to acknowledge your presence as much as we can. If you want, listen to our episodes on YouTube. We post every episode that we do out there as well. And just
Show up to the live
show up to
show.
the live show. Fretboard Brewing on Monday, not Tuesday. Monday. Fretboard Brewing, September the 12th.
I can remember to ask
It's
off
going to be
for
amazing.
that evening
You really should.
or schedule myself off or something.
You should figure out a way to make sure, because that would be awkward if it's just me up there.
You'll find somebody.
I'd find a way.
You find somebody.
Marco, what are you going to be doing next Tuesday?
Actually, my goal.
Funny enough,
My goal is to be here with you to discuss everything that we listen to Cincinnati-based in the craft beer podcast sphere here at Higher Gravity, and hopefully that happens. And I'm looking forward to it. If I seem fumbling about. More on that next Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
So, Julia,
Marco,
cheers.
Cheers. Have a great one, guys.